You are going to be surprised by how long Mommy Longlegs can stretch her limbs. Mommy Longlegs is a pretty popular character in Poppy Playtime. Her key identifying trait is how she can stretch her limbs to look like a spider. I searched the whole internet and wasn't able to find a single theory about how tall is Mommy Longlegs' actual height. I decided I should make that theory. You won't believe the results. But before I tell you how tall is she, let me tell you how I was able to find the closest estimate to her height. I struggled. There was not a single number indication of her height. I have to find a way other than just searching the Poppy Playtime wiki. The way I used was analyzing photos of her and identifying the ratios, comparing these ratios to things we know the actual height of in the game. This was not an easy task, because all the canon photos of her had her twisting or moving her body. So it was hard finding the ratio between her body parts. After a little bit of research, I found this on the official Playtime Co. shop. A plushie of Mommy Longlegs. The plushie was standing almost straight, it was also a stuffed one, so there was no elastic plastic parts to worry about. I took a photo of the plushie and measured the height of her upper half and lower leg. The upper half in the photo was about 5.6 inches and the lower legs were about 6.3 inches. I will need these numbers later, so I saved them. Now, why did I need specifically the height of the upper half and the lower legs? Why not just measure it as one body height? The answer to that is simple. Mommy Longlegs is an enlarged version of the small toy in the game's commercial. So the ratio between her body parts should be the same of the toys. In the game, she only appears for 5 or 6 cutscenes, and she never stands straight in those cutscenes. She's either hanging from the ceiling or chasing you on all of her 4 limbs. There was no scene I could use to measure her height, except for one chase scene. In this chase scene, she climbs a wall next to an open vent. Does that mean that we can use the vent to measure her height? Well, yes and no. We don't know the actual height of the vent, so we can't just compare it with the vent. But I was able to find a way to measure the height of the vent. How? I'm about to tell you. Let's rewind a little bit to the research part of the series. Mommy's height is not said on the wiki page, but the player's height is actually mentioned there. Kinda. It is written that the player height averages between 5.1 feet and 6 feet. By averaging it to the median, the player height is around 5.6 feet. Now let's fast forward to the vent part. The player moves through the vent to escape Mommy. When he runs, we see that he can barely move through the vent without hitting his head. I measured the vent in the photo and this small bar which illustrates the distance between the player's head and the top of the vent. The vent's height was approximately 6 inches, while the small top part was about 0.9 inches. We know the ratio between the vent's height and that small part. Now let's get back to this photo. We can see Mommy's head, torso, and hips. The legs, however, are stretching on the wall, so it's not its actual height. It's stretching. We find that the vent height in this photo is about 2 inches, and if we use the ratio of the small upper part, we find it around 0.3 inches. This means that the player's height in comparison to this vent is about 1.7 inches. If we cut out Mommy's body parts and compare them to this photo's vent, we will find that the height of her upper body parts around 1.7 inches, which is shorter than the player's height. But remember, this is less than half her actual height. If we do some multiplication between Mommy's upper height and player's actual height, then we use the ratio between her upper part and legs, then add them together, we finally get Mommy's real height, which is approximately 11.71 feet. Mommy Longlegs is almost as tall as Slender Man, and this is just an approximation. She might be even taller than that, but our job is not done yet. We still don't know how long can she stretch her limbs. We're going to need some clues for this, specifically this commercial. At first glance, you're going to say stuff like, "What? This is just a toy, Mommy. How can you use it as a clue?" The answer to that is simple. Mommy Longlegs is just a bigger, more alive version of the small toy. So I assume that the physics applying to this little toy shall apply to its bigger counterpart. If you open once again this photo of the plushie, you will notice that there is a height written in the description. 21 inches. If we assume that the plushie has the same height as the plastic toy, then we can measure the ratio between her height and the maximum stretch of the arm. First, the toy is straight in the photo, making it easier to identify its height, which is about 1.1 inches. This is the maximum stretch of the arms because the two kids look like they can't pull it any further. If I measure the length of the stretched arm, it will be about 6.5 inches. If I use this newly made ratio and smash it with mommy's actual height, we will find that mommy Longlegs can stretch her hands for as far as 72.5 feet. This is crazy. This toy can stretch her arm to the roof of an 8-story building without even needing to stretch her other limbs. Mommy Longlegs can rival Spider-Man in swinging between buildings. This is crazy. I can't believe no one talked about mommy's real height before. I'm gonna make more videos answering questions that are frequently wondered but no one answers them. So remember to hit the subscribe button to see my new video when it comes out. Like the video if you want to see more like it, share it with your friends to show them how smart you are, and don't forget to stay smiling.